Hey, what's your self-talk? Jabari is here from What's Your Self-Talk podcast. And listen, I want you to download Anchor right now. Because chances are you're listening to this and you're saying, I got some things I want to share. I have some things that I've wanted to put in a podcast form. Here's the opportunity. Anchor is free. You can do it from your phone and you can be on all the different podcast stations all in one app. Okay. So what I need you to do is stop waiting for the perfect time, analysis paralysis. Do it now. You'll thank me later. What's your self-talk? Hey, what's your self-talk? This is Jabari. I'm excited to continue to talk to you again on What's Your Self-Talk podcast, where my job is to challenge you by asking that question to expand your potential in both business and your personal life. And so today we're going to focus on personal life, and I'm going to talk more about some of the rewards that I have gained personally, internally, when it comes to the social media fasting. Now, for those of you who just kind of tuning in or just kind of listening, I chose a few weeks ago to start protecting my subconscious mind, which ended up leading me into going to the social media fasting to just get away from everything that's going on and allow me to be in control of my mental space, my mental health, and just really being able to tune in to things that really need my attention, from my spirit to my family to my jobs and some of my goals. And so I have been doing this over 2 weeks now. So today episode, I'm just going to talk about 3 things that I have noticed a lot that has been super rewarding for me personally, and I believe for my family as well. And when you go into thinking about how much we spend time on social media and how we just, go to that to maybe find happiness, find identity, find some joy, find our purpose or whatever, or find out just, gossip, we run into, if we're looking for one of those, we probably run to everything else but that one thing. And then when we do get to that one thing, it's just like, whatever. And what I really am noticing about myself is kind of the first point is your self-awareness go up. Self-awareness, I don't know if it's a real big thing in today's world. I think it is, because that's where a lot of people have just been able to accept how they have mental health, and it's okay to ask for help and a lot of other different things. But I believe when you look at your self-awareness, you need to be able to answer some tough and hard questions on what are the things that you are doing, or what are the things you're neglecting to really allow yourself to grow, really allow yourself to do better in areas that you know you need to do better in. Because it's one thing to say it, but then it's another thing to start putting energy and effort towards that direction. And so for me, I have definitely wanted to step it up in all my areas, in my spiritual life, in my marriage, and in my business. And that has really allowed me to start to sit back and be self-aware. I'm like, you know what? I have not spent this time, in my word, or I have not spent this time actively seeking my bride and been intentional about things and conversations, and I still got work to do in that, trust me. And also in my business, like, I have not taken out the time to start saying these are some of the goals that I want to accomplish for my family. And as I sit here in my upstairs room, I'm looking at some of the vision boards that we've started to put together. And as life happened, of course, you have to make sure you stay on top of it. But you can see my son just walked over all my stuff, and I got to straighten it back up. But it is just a reminder of when I am choosing to take control of myself, then I am able to really see what I'm able to do. And that comes from self-awareness. When you're able to take control of yourself, and that is who you are, who you want to be. Like, I believe anybody who wants to find a meaning, who wants to find purpose, or who want to find that calling or whatever, you have to be able to take away something in order to gain something. I talked about that last week. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from Jared, who works with Grant Cardone, is he talked about, in order for us to be able to gain something, we have to give up something. And I've chosen to give up social media for an extended time so that I can be able to gain clarity on the things that I want. And that rolls me kind of into point number 2, which means when I am doing this social media fasting, another reward has been less time idling. You can't imagine how much you just mindlessly click on social media, whether it's Facebook, it's Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I don't even know the state of what TikTok is at right now in this world, but just when you go into those apps and whatever apps in the future that you're going to have for, my son and my kids that are going to be listening to this, you go to your phone and you can open it up and you just automatically click the app. Now, I don't know if that's you, but literally I've caught myself, I'll unlock my phone, I'll be looking for the app, and well, it's deleted. So I'm like, well, what was the whole point of you doing that? And so, sometimes I kind of go quick to work and look at the emails, see if I can catch up on some emails. But mostly it's just a reminder of how much I just idle at how much time I just idle myself into Facebook. And that in itself is rewarding because, number one, you start to realize you just start really tapping into stuff that it's no reward to you. It's like, why do I care about what you're doing? But even more so, you can get trapped in the comments of how people are responding and, what they said. And then you start drawing up stories of, I should have said this, I should have said that. Or you even go in there and respond. And it's like, why does that matter? Now, I think it is some very important things on why that can be very great and very creative, depending on the question, depending on the post, depending on the picture, or depending on the video. But I'm talking about those post videos that really has no benefit to you. Like, honestly, it has no benefit to you. What good is it to see the person who is, end up getting in a fight, or they end up falling and tripping and, just whatever. I can't even think of all the crazy videos sometimes that I sit back and watch sometimes just mindlessly. And that time goes on and it goes to something else. And you think about it, like these ads, and especially if you're on Facebook sometime and even TikTok for sure. Like, I've seen myself, like, hours pass by. I'm like, oh man, that's funny. Oh man, that's true. I stand with you. Black Lives Matters. And so you get into so many different angles so quick, so fast. And you're just like, okay, what just happened here? And you trap your mind into getting used to that. And when you trap your mind into getting used to that and just thinking through, trying to understand all the different angles that people are coming from or they're talking about, well, it can get overwhelming. And I think it leads into my last point. Some of the rewards I have is being more creative in just any and everything I'm doing. And in my mind, well, think about how creatively you sometimes need to find something or do something on social media. And so you creatively think, well, if I go to this person post, or if I search for this keyword, then I can maybe find when that person said that, what was the date, or why did they even, you know, why would they even post something like that? I wonder if they still have it. Did they delete it? I wonder what people are saying. I wonder what that one girl said. I wonder what that one boy, it's just, think about, you go through so many loopholes and you just ask yourself, like, why? How can you use that same creativity worrying about somebody else or focusing on somebody else and what they said or what they did or what they didn't do? And how can you use that to your advantage? And I have been amazed at the creativity that I've put together. Just, it can be real small, simple things. This can be things around the house that maybe, my wife have asked me to do, but I just didn't do it. And I have found ways to creatively remind myself, you know what, this would be a great idea to knock this out or to do that. Instead, think about when you go on social media, and this is something I really, really want you guys to think about. When you are needing to do something that is probably a higher priority than social media, how often do we try to escape that responsibility by going on social? I want you to think about that question. How often, when you're supposed to do something and you don't want to do it, you go to social to try to, whether it's find entertainment, whether it's find a way to not have to think about what you got to do, whatever the case is. But that is pretty, interesting, that I discovered for myself. And you realize real quick, well, why am I choosing not to do this? What is the real reason? And that gives you the option to answer that question. But you've also now, through the social media fasting, the reward you get is you now know that is a question to ask. You didn't know that was even an issue or a problem because you are choosing not to be off of social media and think about everything. And, I think and this is difficult for me because I do run and operate, business that, it's online. We have an Airbnb business that I do a lot of promoting on social. A lot of the things that I do is always on live, and I'm talking and I'm engaging with what's going on in the world. So this is difficult for me because I'm such an active person wanting to talk about and want to encourage people. Just talk about what's going on in the world. I want to encourage people, let people see that, that smile that is very contagious, that I've been blessed with. So it's at the same time, but it's needed, and my priorities have to be in the right place, in the right space, because we have a limited time on this earth. So how can you use it more wisely? So that are the top 3 things that I would say social media fasting has rewarded me with. I'm pretty sure next week I will still be not on social. I do go on there like occasionally for work purposes because I have to do some search or some deep diving, but I don't, go into any other areas inside of doing my due diligence for work and posting these new podcasts. So I hope you'd enjoyed it. I hope you will maybe join me in this challenge of social media fasting, and I'd love to know more about it and kind of why. And, share this with someone who you think may be struggling with, just being on social media too much, or you think like their attention is not where it needs to be. And so if they can just understand some of the important reasons to stay away from social media, just for a certain time that is healthy. I'm pretty sure it's going to be, probably the end of this month before I do anything. But, that's my personal reasons. But I want somebody else to maybe be able to say, hey, I want you to listen to this. I think it's helpful just to hear some of the rewards that he's gaining, but also some of the great points. So hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we will have a special guest, a real good friend of mine, who, when we were talking about, part 2 of the protecting of the subconscious mind, and we'll talk about this from also a health and athletic standpoint. So look forward to that podcast. And as always, I want you to move forward in life asking that one question: what's your self-talk?